What's up, you beautiful human beings? I hope you guys are having a great day today in this beautiful, humid Florida. It's very humid today. But today we're going to be talking about something kind of really special, something that I really like. I really like this topic that we're talking about, which is censorship and banned books and challenge books. And the books that I chose to do it on, I chose to do mine's on the Hunger Game books. I really enjoyed this book trilogy. I like Susan Collins' work a lot. I like the first two books. Mockingjay is a little bit debatable, but the first two books are really great in my opinion. I read these books when I was in middle school. Around like the 7th grade, I believe, these books came out, and my friend suggested to me to read it because I was reading a lot of books during that period of time. So he was like, yo man, like, I love the Hunger Games books and I think you enjoy them as well. So my parents went out and bought them for me. They didn't really care about the subject matter, about the violence. We'll go into that a little bit later. But as long as I was reading a book, that's all they cared about. So yeah, I read these books when I was about like 13 years old, and I fell in love with it. Oh yeah, I reread the first book last week. I did not reread all of these books last week, but I did reread the first book, and it still holds up great today. Before we go into the censorship, I will be talking about the plot first, in case you guys have not either read the books or seen the movies, and I'll be really surprised if you've done neither of those things. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Now, the Hunger Games takes place in the future, but in an environment called the dystopian setting. I love reading books that take place in a dystopian world, in a dystopian climate, and they usually take place in the future or like an alternate reality. But for this book, it's set in the future, and I like that because even though it's set in the future, it talks about timeless things. It goes back into history. It talks about the problems of the present day. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed from this book. Now, the reason why the books are set in a dystopian world and set in the future in its setting is because it takes place in a country called Pan Am in North America, and the government split up the country into 12 districts. Each district takes part in something within the country. For example, District 12 is about coal, so they do a lot of coal mining, which is where the first book at least is mostly in District 12. That's where we meet Katniss Everdeen. There were 13 districts, but the 13th one got abolished because they decided to do something. They decided to fight and overthrow the Capitol. Now, this obviously did not work for their benefit, because when they obviously got abolished, and mainly because right when this occurred, the government decided to put people in check so this will never happen again. So they created the Hunger Games, which each child, 12 through 18, had to put their names in, almost like a lottery and a draw from each district. So from District 12 through District 1. So they put their name in, and they raffle one boy and one girl to participate in the Hunger Games, pretty much battling to the death on live TV. So the people in Pan Am, the people in the Capitol will be entertained by that. Now, your main characters are Katniss Everdeen, who's a 16-year-old girl who decides to take her sister's place in the Hunger Games because she does not want to watch her die and get slaughtered, which was a big heroic thing for her to do. Peter Millark, Effie Twinkett, Haymitch, and Cena. President Snow he's not in this book at all. He is mentioned, but he is not in the book. He does not play a very significant part in this book. You do feel his presence in the first book, though. He doesn't come in until the second one, and he plays a big pivotal role in the third book. Now, the Hunger Games trilogy has been banned in many areas of the US in 2010 alone. Banned books, the novel has been banned throughout the United States, mostly from the schools, making the top 10 banned books of all time. Now, this is not shocking because the books deal with subject matter of like violence and kids killing other kids. But other critics or parents have given other reasons why the books should be banned. Now, in 2011, the Hunger Games books
was listed at number 3 of the top 10 banned books of 2011, for reasons of anti-ethnic, anti-family, insensitivity, offensive language, occult/satanic, and violence. I do not agree with majority of this. Now, with the violence, I agree with the insensitivity and offensive language. I agree with maybe with the anti-family, but with the occult/satanic reason, I don't agree with that whatsoever. I don't know who was reading this book and said I think this book is satanic and filled with occult affiliations. At least when I was reading this book, I never got that vibe with it whatsoever. It does not speak on any religious affiliation. It does not have any satanic messages within this story. It does not even have any occult purposes or occult affiliations when I was reading this book. Maybe when someone was reading it and said, I think the capital might be filled with this talking about an occult system, I can possibly see that, but even that is stretching it pretty thin, in my opinion. Dealing with the offensive with family, I could see that talking about Katniss's mother, because if you read the story, you realize that Katniss' father died and her mother went into shell shock after that, and she was not able to provide for her family. So I can see that somewhat being kind of like, parents reading that and being kind of offended by that, by the mother not being around and Katniss treating her like a, not disrespectfully, but you can tell that Katniss was really mad at her mother for doing that, for not being around and not taking care of her family. I really got that when I was reading the book. The violence, of course, killing kids, is very, very disturbing and violent, but it does have a purpose and reason within the story. Susan Collins treats this very respectfully, in my opinion. Is not here just to have fun with it or to shock children. Is there for purpose within the story. There's a lot of interviews with Susan Collins giving reasons why she uses violence in these books. Through, she said one of her inspiration was the Vietnam War. You can also tell that she was very inspired by, gladiators and the Roman history, the Roman Empire, and she was also very fascinated by Greek mythology as well. So yeah. So yeah, as I last stated, the Hunger Games books were based on the Vietnam War, and the Vietnam War especially, more so than the other wars, is because I believe so. The reason why she was inspired by it was because that was the first war that was ever documented. Like that was the first war that you were able to see live on television. So I'm sure that had a great effect on her, and when she was a child growing up, and I'm sure, and that's pretty much why that was a big inspiration for her for the books. And she was also inspired by Greek mythology. One of them being Theseus and the Minotaur. And if you know anything about that story, it's very similar to the Hunger Games, but except of kids fighting to the death. I believe these kids get pretty much slaughtered by a Minotaur because of the consequences of one man. So yeah, those are inspirations by the book. So you can tell like everything of the book has a reason and a purpose behind it. It's not just because of brutal violence. And as I said before, I would not agree with the whole religious aspects of how people said the book is very religious. It's not, or satanic, or has an occult. It doesn't have either of those things whatsoever in the story. So I don't know where parents or where critics got that from while reading the book. Maybe I'm missing something, but to my knowledge, when I was reading the first book and all three of them, which they're on my bed right now, I did not get that feeling of any of those things. The violence, I do agree with. The book is very violent. The whole thing of anti-family, somewhat, but it's due to the depiction of the story. Katniss lost her father, so you kind of get in her mindset why she doesn't really get along with her mom as much. She doesn't hate her mom, it's just she doesn't get along with her because her mom is pretty much still shell shock. She's just a shell of a person. She's very emotionless. That's because her father died. I think those were pretty much why people why people kind of banned the books. I believe those were just the reasons why. As I said, I don't agree with all of them. I do believe that I don't believe in banning books, period. I do believe people should have the freedom to express themselves and to write whatever they feel like and to write whatever story they so desire. If it's a good, compelling story, I think people would read it. If you're a parent, you could easily tell your children not to read this book if you don't agree with the topics behind it. But I don't believe you should completely ban books entirely, because that sounds like something that the Capitol would do. That would sound like something that the country of Pan Am would do. And we're not in that country. Thankfully, we're not like that. I believe that, as I said, people should have the freedom to express themselves through writing. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. I've enjoyed this class so much. I've enjoyed reading different books that I've never read before. This has been a pretty great experience and great learning experience as well. I've read a lot of books that I didn't think that I would be reading. To be quite honest with you, this has been a very open-minded experience reading different books, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I hope you enjoyed my video, and yeah, I hope to read a lot more different books and open my horizons to different types of books as well. This has definitely inspired me to go out and read all different types of books. So I thank you for that. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this video.